Hey, it's Emmy.
And Amber.
And this is Death Before Decaf Paranormal. All right, you perky percolators. We have a very, very cool story for you today.
I'm really pumped. We've been working on this investigation for like 2 months.
God, like 2 months.
Yeah, so we've been really excited to share it with you.
So there were some issues, you know, like with the world right now of like, uncertainty of like planning things. So we had a little setback with investigating this place, but we finally got to, and they got us in super early, like way earlier than I expected.
Yeah, I didn't think they would get us in until next year, honestly.
Yeah.
And they're just like, hey, want to come next week? And
we were like, okay. So we like moved around our schedule.
Not ready.
I'm not ready. But we were very excited. And so yeah, so this is our episode about the
Belvidere Mansion in Claremore, Oklahoma.
It is a beautiful, 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 beautiful mansion. We'll go more into detail here in a bit, but just letting you guys know that like the video we're gonna post and everything does not do it justice.
No, it is stunning. I had done, my research and
Amber's done her research, we all know.
Research what?
Research, Amber, what?
But I had looked at a ton of photos and it looked real pretty and everything, but then you get there and you're just blown away.
I felt like I was like back in time. Like I felt like, and like they've repurposed a lot, or not repurposed. They revamped it a lot, or like what's the word?
Renovated. That's not the word, is it?
I don't remember the word. They remodeled it. Okay, so basically they like redid a couple of things and
they
like,
brought it back to its original time.
Yes.
Like it had been, well, you'll find out what happened to it after it was a home, but then they went and took it and just restored it. Restored, guys.
That's the word, wow.
Restored it to its former glory. And it really is like you step through a portal and you're in that time. It has a lot of original tile that was been in there since the early 1900s.
And the framing of the like doorways and it's just so pretty.
It's so beautiful.
Like anyways, the whole point is like it's a beautiful place. We highly recommend to just go and check it out. There's a restaurant attached to it, so maybe when COVID is over, you guys can go and like go to the restaurant and just sit there and enjoy it because it is gorgeous.
Yeah, we'll tell you more about the restaurant and some of the other things.
But before that, we are going to go ahead and talk about our coffee of the day that, once again, our beautiful Amber provided.
Thank you. I really was excited to find this roast. It's a new roaster. They just started this year, of all years. Like, congrats for being able to do that this year. Yeah. But they are called T3 Roasters, and they operate out of Skiatook, Oklahoma. And I actually found them at Farm Hippie, which is a indoor farmers market in Collinsville, Oklahoma.
Which isn't your teas?
Yeah, if you go, you might find Enchant Tea on a big shelf there.
Which I heard that they have amazing loose leaf teas.
I've heard they're the best tea in town and really anywhere in the world.
Oh my god. Everyone's gonna try the teas and be like,
it's
good.
World? I don't know. But yeah, so you can find Enchant Tea there on the shelf too. But while I was restocking, I ran into a shelf that was new. I'd never seen before there. And it's T3 Roasters. And they have, it looks like, they're just starting out. So they don't have a ton of roasts. But they've got like, I think 3 or
That's a good number to start with.
Like 6 basics and then some rotating seasonals. So I got one of their year-round offerings. And it is called, forgive me, it is called Sulawesi Toraja Roast.
Better than me. I would have been Subaru Toraja.
Yeah, so it's Sulawesi Toraja. So it's dark, bold, but balanced earthy flavor with dark chocolate, raisin, and granola flavors. And they say if you've never had Sulawesi coffee before, you've got to try this. It makes a great alternative of a daily drinker, and it is wet hauled Arabica coffee.
And honestly, like drinking it, it is definitely a good typical breakfast roast. So like when you get like, the breakfast roast or whatever at like $5, it's like, very light coffee that doesn't have a whole lot of like not overwhelming notes, but just the right amount.
Yeah, it's a dark roast, but it's not like smoky.
It's not burnt.
Like, yeah.
It's not like, it's like not borderline burnt or burnt at all. And it's really smooth. And what I personally liked about it was that you could drink it with like anything. Amber added it, after she tried it, she added a little bit of maple.
Yeah, I had some maple and brown sugar.
And then I did my honey as usual. Because that's the one they like apparently. And we tried that, and both of them tasted really good, and it made me realize that you could add pretty much like anything. So if you're a creamer person, this is a good blend for you, because it's not going to interrupt your creamer flavor.
Yeah, I really think it's a great base that you could really do anything with. I really enjoy Pink House Alchemy syrups, and that's a small handcrafted small batch syrup company, and you can find them. I think they're based out of Arkansas, but there's a lot of stores around here that sell their syrups,
and they're really good syrups.
Oh my gosh, they're really, really good, high quality. That's where I get my pumpkin butternut syrup
that she loves.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna be so sad when the like season is over.
She'll call them and be like, "Can you special order?
Like, can I get a case of this?"
Honestly,
but they're really good. But they have so many flavors, and I feel like anything would work with this. It's a really good basic coffee. I do definitely taste the light, like dark chocolate notes for sure.
I taste the like the granola-y, like it's almost like this would be a fantastic cup of coffee with your like granola and yogurt. Like that would be like, to me, the perfect
like you said, breakfast.
Yes.
Like I could definitely drink this every day in the morning, and it would be fantastic. And I think there's a lot of potential in this company. I think they're only going to get better with time, honestly, when they...
Like, I personally would rather have a few more notes in it. I feel like they could have thrown in, like, one more note in there to make it perfect. But it was a really good coffee either way. I mean, I drank it. I finished it. I mean, I can't really say anything bad about it, except that, like, maybe as they get better, it'll just get even more yummy.
Yeah, I really am excited. I get super excited when new roasters open up around here. So
I mean, for Oklahoma, we have quite a bit. I've noticed. Like for this podcast, I was like, oh yeah, we can do like, like coffee roasters, like local ones, or like even small business ones. And we were kind of like, oh, like what we run out?
Do we have enough?
Do we have enough?
But it's just like more and more. Like I know another roaster that just started, and I'm excited to try them too. But I definitely will keep getting T3 Roasters coffee. I want to try all their other blends. Like
it actually reminds me of an old coffee that I used to get all the time. They don't have a business anymore. And I was really sad because I got it at my local grocery store, and I was super excited that I found this amazing coffee, and me and my husband drink it constantly. And then one day I went there and they didn't have it anymore. And I looked it up and they were gone. This was before COVID. This was years ago. But I was so upset, and this coffee reminds me of them. So I'm excited because I have a replacement now.
Yeah, I'm really, really pumped to try the other things. And they really branch out. They have like Ethiopia, they have like Peru, Guatemala beans.
And it's affordable. Like,
oh my gosh, I was shocked. Like you can get half a pound for $7. That's insane.
That's like way cheaper than like the typical like bags of coffee you can get at the grocery store.
Yeah.
It's really good. And also we personally also love their catchphrase.
Oh yes, so their catchphrase is
"Stay caffeinated, my friends," which is similar to our little saying.
Yeah, I'm excited, and I want to try some of their new ones. They focus on a lot of organic stuff. There's one of these roasts that says like grown by women farmers.
Oh.
So
applause to them.
Yeah. So try them out. You can find them on Instagram and Facebook at T3 Roasters. And they do have a site where you can order their beans as well. And it is t3-roasters.com.
And they also not only have just coffee.
I found this on the shelf and I about died. They make their own chapstick, which is more like a gloss almost. It's so moisturizing.
Which for this weather, like all of a sudden, like winter weather, what the heck? We live in Oklahoma and it's like actually snowing.
Yeah, I was like...
I was so shocked. I was like, excuse me? We were in Oklahoma. I thought it was supposed to be 80 degrees in December.
I mean, it was like 80 degrees, boom, snow.
Boom, snow, like, boom, 30s.
Yeah, it's insane. But
yeah, so use chapstick is what I'm saying. And this chapstick is amazing.
It's really good, and it's all basic organic ingredients. It's like cocoa butter, shea butter, coconut oil, beeswax, and coffee infused oil, which is infused with their coffee beans.
Which coffee oil is actually very good for your skin. A lot of scrubs and a lot of like that extra caffeine in your skin.
Yeah, it's
the caffeine is like actually good for your skin. So the fact they put that in your lips is like amazing. And honestly, had a little bit and my lips feel great.
It's very moisturizing. It's not too heavy. It's
just cool that like this coffee, they like were like, oh, what else can we do with coffee? Mm-hmm. Oh, let's make lip balm.
They're making candles too. And I smell,
yes, my God. Please.
It was a wood wick.
Guys, wait, hang on. Guys, y'all miss going out having coffee, right? At a coffee shop, sitting at the coffee shop with your laptop, with the music and the smell of coffee. Get yourself a candle. Get yourself one of their candles. Mm-hmm. Sit your little butt on your bar and have your laptop and play some music, and you're at a coffee bar.
Exactly.
Boom, done.
And I love it. Was like cashmere something.
Love it.
So good.
So anyway, check them out. They are, again, they're just starting. They recently started this business and they could use all the support they can. And honestly, their coffee's really good. So give them a try.
Yeah, definitely.
So, all right, well, I guess we can switch to our main part. You know, the main part of the reason people are here. Like, okay, yeah, we get it. Coffee's good. Get to the point.
What happened? Ghosties.
Yeah, ghosties. Come on. So, the Belvidere Mansion. So, funny thing is, I used to go to Claremore a lot when I was younger because I was on a swim team. And the swim team, like the place we went to a lot for competitions, was in Claremore. So, I went to Claremore all the time growing up. And then there's also a local dairy farm there, and that I also go to. And so, I never have heard of the Belvidere Mansion at all.
Well, I had heard of it, but I don't think I had to this extent because I briefly, I have a lot of family in Claremore, so I would visit occasionally up there, and then I actually went to college at Rogers State University briefly for a couple semesters, and I lived up there, and I would drive around with my friend, and we would just like, check out the town. Whatever you do as like a bored
teenager, like
young adult student in like a tiny town. And I remember seeing it from the outside before, but I don't think I grasped the history.
Well, yeah, because like the outside of it looks like, like those really big homes that's in like Tulsa or like midtown.
Yeah.
Like, those huge mansions that like people have that are like millions of dollars. It kind of looks like that because they've kept it so well. So when we saw it, I was like, oh, is that it? Because you're expecting like a super like old like castle almost, but it's like, no, it looks very casual from the outside, but it's the inside.
Oh my gosh, yeah. When I researched farther into it and I was like, Emmy, like look at all this stuff, listen to all this stuff, and we got really excited to go. So we decided to contact them
for a private investigation, and they actually gave it to us, which was because apparently, even though they're owned technically by the Pink House restaurant, it is a restaurant that's on the first floor, and they kind of utilized it and everything, and they kind of took over the gift shop, and they're kind of more involved in it now. And so when they switched to the Pink House being more involved into it, I was worried that we wouldn't be able to do a ghost tour.
Right, but then it turns out that the Historical Society in Rogers County actually is in charge of maintaining it and keeping it all nice and like restored.
And they do like a lot of tours. Like they do like a Christmas and during Halloween they do
they do some like spooky tours, and then they also have like a high tea type of event that goes on there. And from what I understand, I believe like the high tea and the gift shop proceeds and things like that go towards the Historical Society so that they can maintain it. So we were able to donate some money to be able to go on our private investigation, which is well worth it because I'm all for donating to keep this place.
Like they're like, it's not like going, it's almost like a charity. Like they're like, it's not going towards like their pockets. Like they're not like, oh, well, thank you for the money. It's like, it actually goes to keep this place alive, which when you go inside, you're like, oh yeah, take all my money. Like I want this place to stay forever.
Yes, I agree. It was just a surreal experience to go. I'm just very happy that we got the opportunity.
Yeah. So why don't you go ahead and give us a little bit of the history before we dive into our experience? Because I feel like we're like all over the place with the experience because we're so excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about that.
But let's go ahead and just take a step back and let's go ahead and talk about take a deep breath and let's talk about the history of the Belvidere Mansion.
All right. So, the Belvidere Mansion in Claremore, Oklahoma, also lovingly referred to as the Belle of Rogers County.
Oh my god. But Tish. Oh, I hate it. Get out of here.
I love it. All the puns. Anyway, okay, so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about like the founder, creator of the Belvidere Mansion. His name was John M. Bayless, and he was really important to the industrialization of Claremore. So John was born in Tennessee, but he grew up in Missouri, where he helped establish 2 banks, the Monet State Bank and the Berry County Bank, as well as developing the J.M. Bayless & Co. Mercantile.
Which are what exactly?
Don't ask me.
Okay.
Something important. He was basically a big deal.
Big businessman deal.
He was a big businessman deal. So he was really successful in banking and land development.
Okay.
He was really smart, actually. So he was instrumental in building the Cassville and Western Railroad, which is the C&W Railroad, as well as the Arkansas and Oklahoma Railroad. Moved his family from Cassville, Missouri to Sulphur, Indiana. He decided he wanted to move to Claremore while it was still Native American territory, but the Cherokee had like settled in that area, but since it was before statehood, it was still under Cherokee law at the time. So it was like a bold move for him to move in. And from what I understand, he wasn't trying to change.
Because they're savages.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, white person.
But it was a bold move at the time. But it seemed to me, from what I found, that he's really like respectful of the Native Americans in the area. He didn't just move in and try to like immediately take over everything like a lot of people do. So he was like, yeah, I'll move in. It's under Cherokee law, whatever. We'll obey with them. It's cool. So he began construction on several buildings there in town. So he built a 3-story opera house known as the Windsor Opera House.
Oh, wow.
And it's actually had, the first floor was a drugstore, which is an interesting combo. But I guess
you know the opera house that you go and take your family to? I also did the drugstore.
Yeah, work at the drugstore down
So your mom can get the pills to make herself happy.
Come pick up your pills and then go upstairs and vibe.
All right, children, we're going to go to the opera, but mommy has her pills. She has to go pick up her pills, and then we can go to the opera. Okay, Mom!
Exactly. So it seemed fun, but from what I understood, like he invited a lot of the Native Americans to come to the opera house and enjoy the opera.
Oh, we like that.
Yeah. So I guess the Native Americans really enjoyed it because they'd never heard anything like it before. So they came in and they would see the operas and get all excited about this new music.
Yeah, that'd be really cool, actually.
Wouldn't that be amazing if you're like...
I've been to an opera once when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah. I've been to a few.
I've been to one because my babysitter actually was into opera, and so we went and saw her, and she was really good. And I was like, dang.
Wow.
Like, it's amazing the fact that they don't even have to use mics. They're just so loud.
I
actually, people always said that my voice, because it's so booming, that I could do opera, and I'm like, no.
I bet you could if you tried. It's such a hard field to go into because I don't
want to.
It's insane. But anyway, so he built this opera house and it was really revolutionary to be there at the time. He was doing a lot of like new industrialized things in general. So he also built the Sequoia Hotel, which had new like electric lighting, which was a big deal. This is like early 1900s.
We have electricity.
Exactly. And they also had therapeutic radium baths there, which was a new thing. It's not, I know, I looked into it. They're not like radioactive because that's what I was thinking. I was like,
excuse me, what?
I can't remember the exact details, but it wasn't. It was like a new, fangled, cool thing. But he also built the Claremore Athletic Association with an indoor swimming pool.
Hey, I like that. Like, good for them.
I mean, imagine that in the early 1900s.
Like, a pool?
Inside?
So I could swim in the winter? Yeah, that'd be really weird. That would be really weird. They probably were like, a pool on the side? What the hell?
Yeah,
like, they were like, that's so weird. And then they saw it and they were like, ooh.
Exactly. So, of all those buildings, unfortunately, the mansion is the only building he built in Oklahoma that remains. So it was cool being there. But so he chose Claremore due to its 2 strategically placed railroads. Because
railroads.
He was aware of the importance of the railroad.
It's funny, the railroads, and most of our evidence was cut off because of
trains,
freaking trains.
All the trains. But it reminded me, I was there, I was like, oh, this is why John chose this place.
John's like, hey, he probably liked it. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so he knew how important railroads are going to be in like promoting business ventures, as things went on, and he was right.
They're still pretty important too. Like, a lot of people still use trains.
I mean, they're vital in our society still, I think. But at the time, even Claremore was more prospering than Tulsa.
Oh,
wow. I
wow.
understand. Like, Claremore was more of a booming town than Tulsa at this time.
Which Tulsa is, like, huge. Like, everyone that thinks of Oklahoma, they're like, I only know a few things about Oklahoma. Oklahoma City and Tulsa. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, so Tulsa's huge. So the fact that Claremore was bigger is pretty... I mean, I can see it, though. Like,
Yeah.
going downtown, like, or midtown, whatever you want to call it, of Claremore, it's, like... pretty industrial looking, like, used to be. Like, now
Right.
it's, like, not, obviously there's no, like, skyscrapers or anything like that, but it's definitely, like, really cool. It's very, like,
Yeah, like, now it's
Main
known
Street.
as, like, a smaller town. And
Yeah, kind of like Broken Arrow Main Street, or, like,
Right.
Coweta Main Street.
Probably more like
yeah.
Coweta,
yeah.
but-
Back in the time, it was really cool, probably. It's still cool,
yeah.
but, like, it was back then, it was, like, the new thing.
So he decided he was going to build a mansion for his family because he's like, yeah, I want to move out here and, like, stay here
It's
permanently.
like, I made friends with everyone here, and I have business here. Let's just move here.
Yeah, he's like, I'm industrializing this town. Let's get in here and chill.
Yeah.
So,
It's a nest.
so he began construction on their, like, castle-like mansion in 1907. That's when he started, and he purchased the land for his wife, Mary Melissa Bayless, who he lovingly referred to as Molly with the IE.
Honestly, though, like, love her already.
Oh yeah, Mary is wonderful, and we'll tell you more about her in a second. And they actually had 7 children, which at the time obviously wasn't a big deal.
That is 7
but,
too many.
But I'm gonna name them all for you because I love their names. So we've got Francis, Guy, Earl, Bland.
Bland.
We love Bland.
Bland.
You'll see.
Oh.
Bland. Ross, Burke, and Wayne. Wayne. So that was their children.
Wait, it's weird, Burke. Like, my mom had a friend growing up named Burke, and I was like, that's
Really?
a weird name. And so the fact there's a Burke who's like, oh, that's another Burke. I guess it's not that weird.
Yeah, I mean, it was popular in old days, but that'd be weird.
My mom's not that old, guys.
No, she'd kill us.
No.
Be like, yeah, she's
She's gonna listen to this and be like, excuse me?
All right, so Mary Bayless. Mary was born in Texas. She and her family migrated to Castle, Missouri when she was about 12, and that's where she was living, and she eventually met John, and they had their children there.
There's 7 children.
There's 7 children.
That's so many.
It's crazy. So I will tell you more about some of her accomplishments and everything after we talk a little bit more about the mansion.
Okay.
But she was just an incredible
Oh, I love her.
lady.
I'm like, I would have been good friends with her.
So, okay. John was constructing this mansion, and he was very excited. It was his dream home. He was super happy, ready to move
It's
his
so
family
pretty,
there.
and yeah.
It's beautiful. So he was working on that, and all the while, Mrs. Bayless and the 5 dependent children were Earl, Bland, Ross, Burke, and Wayne. They all moved into the Sulphur House in Indiana while the mansion was being built. And I believe Mr. Bayless was living in Claremore, probably like a hotel.
Yeah.
Probably the Sequoia he built.
Probably the one he built. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would make sense. He's like, I have a free room here.
Exactly. So he was working on that while they were back in Sulphur. So Mrs. Bayless was summoned to Claremore in June of 1907 because it turns out John had suffered an appendicitis attack, which is obviously something very difficult at the time. So he suffered the attack. They summoned her and was like, hey, your husband's ill. Come to Claremore.
Yeah.
And then they decided they needed to get him a specialist. So they summoned a specialist from Kansas City to perform the surgery. And this is early 1900s.
Yeah, so by the time...
How long would it take to get there from
A long
Kansas
time.
City by, like, buggy? Like, what?
By
is it
buggy?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's gotta have been, like, at least...
Horse at some point, right?
At least one full day or something. I don't know. It's got to have taken a while to get
It would,
to him.
either way, it would
take.
take longer than an ambulance now.
Right, and you know how quickly things can go bad when
Yeah,
you're
yes,
dealing
but
with that.
yeah.
So a specialist came, he made it, he performed a surgery on him, and sadly...
Which, yikes, back then.
Yeah,
Yikes.
gosh.
Painful.
Sadly, Mr. Bayless died following the appendicitis operation. It was about a week later after the operation. He probably got infected, or they didn't get it out in time.
Back then, they didn't even have, like, the right equipment or the right drugs to, like, help with that. So.
I mean, there's so many things that could go wrong in following an operation
and
like
sanitary reasons too. The fact they just had a specialist come and like do that instead of like, you know, going to a hospital. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. So it's just tragic because he worked so hard in making this dream home for his family.
And he didn't even get to see it finished.
He didn't even get to see it completed because he passed away. It was...
How old was he when he passed away?
Probably wasn't super old when he passed away. It'd be young, I think, for the time. It was definitely unexpected to everybody.
Younger than he probably should have passed away, honestly.
Definitely. I mean, if this didn't happen, who knows how much longer he would have lived. So at the time of his death, he was acting as president for the Bank of Claremore. So Earl moved to Claremore to take over his father's building projects and keep those alive. Yeah. And then Mrs. Bayless and the children moved into the mansion after she actually completed the construction on the mansion.
Oh, bless you, Mary.
Mary was incredible. So her husband passes away.
Leaves her with like 50 kids.
Yeah, oh my gosh, basically. So she really took over. Like, she took the reins. So she was known
Which back then was kind of like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
like you're
women.
a woman. And she was like, yeah, no, F that noise. I'm gonna keep doing what my husband wanted me to do.
Exactly.
Which, you know, it's like why he fell in love with her. He was like, this is a strong-willed woman. Hell yeah.
I'm sure, yeah. She was known to be kind of like quiet and calm and reserved, but she was also like really smart and strong and willful, they said. Hey. So she got shit done. So after he passed, she's like, no, I'm gonna finish this mansion. Now I'll tell you more about the mansion details and like the interior.
Yes, please do.
Things that she did. So okay, this mansion is now listed on the National Registry of Historic Places. I forgot to mention that. So it's a big deal. So
has a plaque and everything.
Yes, it does. So there was no Mr. Belvedere. Like in Italian, Belvedere means like beautiful to see or beautiful view. So that's
and it's actually like displayed in the front of the house in like a tile. The Belvedere, isn't it? Like the Belvedere.
And from what I understood, the person making the like mosaic thing actually spelled Belvedere incorrectly. And then I think, from what I understand, Mary was just like, "Ha, that's funny," and kept it. So we
love a woman with sense of humor. I would do the same. I'd be like, you know what? It's probably like a bitch to take out anyway. Let's just go ahead and just leave it.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that it was spelled wrong.
Yeah, so like, well, this is the way it's spelled now, so this is the way it's known as. So that's why it was named that. So she began construction in March of 1907, and the Claremore Progress... Oh, actually, construction... Sorry, she did not begin the construction. John had begun the construction in March. He passed away in June.
June, okay.
So he began the construction in March, and Claremore was, like, freaking out of, like, excitement. Because John was such a big deal.
He was like a celebrity there. They were like, ah!
They were freaking out. Like, they released a statement in the paper and everything. So the Claremore Progress wrote this when John initially broke ground. So they said, J.M. Bayless yesterday commenced breaking ground on the block east of Mopac Depot for the erection of a 3-story brick residence. He will use granite brick and it will have a tiled roof. It will be one of the finest residences in the territory. He will also erect a brick barn with a tile roof. The residence will be built on the northeast corner of the lot. We are glad to see that he's decided to locate in our city and believe as the years roll by that he will not regret making this his choice of home.
And then he died.
And then
so like you said, he started in March.
And then passed away in June.
So that's 3 months.
And then badass bitch Mary completed this whole mansion before December. I think it's like in December.
Okay, so I recently I'm in my new house. We built a house, and like love my builders. They were fantastic to work with, but it took a long time. The framing alone, like they got it up quickly, but it took a while. So the fact that she finished from March to December, like that's when it got done.
Yeah, I mean, people were freaking out. They're like, this is unheard of in that time. Like, this is with all the technology.
Well, yeah, but the fact it has like the tiled roof. That alone takes, like, shingles, you can do that in an evening. Like, that shit's easy. Tiles are not easy.
Well, like, everything was just put in by hand. I can't even imagine. So this mansion is 3 stories and 9,000 square feet in total.
Of beauty, just straight beauty.
It has 62 windows, 2 chimneys, and a roof fence that surrounds the roof skylights.
Which is gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. So this Gothic-style brick home was complete with a tile roof and 4 towers. It provided a portico, which is, like the roof supported by columns, on the the north side for guest carriages, as well as large covered porch at the front entrance with a matching balcony right above it. Inside the floors were covered in tile with marble walls and pressed tin ceilings.
Which is still beautiful to this day.
Yeah.
Like, when we were there, the lady that was part of the society was telling us everything about the house, and I asked her, like, if the walls were the original, and she said yes, they had to, like, touch it up a little bit over time, but, like, she said it was the original, and you could feel the texture of it being, it's just like, wow.
Yeah, there's so much of it left that's from the original construction, and the things,
the fireplaces.
Oh my gosh, the fireplaces have all of the original, like, work around them and
tile and everything.
It's insane. And even when they pulled back, some of the stuff off the walls, and they found a wallpaper and they were like, well, we can't save it, but let's recreate it.
So they redesigned the wallpaper to make sure it matched the old ones. Even though it's not technically the old one, they kept the design, which just goes to show how much respect was in this house.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
I think had a lot to do with, like, what we caught evidence-wise, because I feel like if there wasn't respect there, the evidence would have been completely different. We would have had a lot of angry spirits as opposed to just curious ones.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely agree with that. So there's sliding pocket doors, which were at the time like, whoa, what is this?
I know that's more of like a 60s thing, because like my parents' home was built around I think it was like early 60s maybe, and they still have it, the original what's it called, like the slide pocket door.
Pocket doors,
yeah, they have one still in their bathroom, and I asked them if they were gonna like get rid of it. Like, we can't, because like there's no door that would like fit in that room now.
Yeah.
So that was definitely like before the time, so the people were probably like, what is this sorcery?
For sure, yeah, I think so. And so she worked really hard to get it. So a lot of the trim and woodwork used were actually brought from the 1904 World's Fair in St. Louis, which if you are into like history and stuff, that was a huge freaking deal.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, it was like
Amber's really excited right now, and I'm just like, cool.
It was a big deal that she did that. I can't even imagine how much that cost, but
I mean, this mansion's huge, and they finished it so quickly, so I would imagine they spent lots of money on this mansion.
Jeez, I know, but it was really cool because a lot of that original trim and tile were there. Is insane. But anyway, so the third floor of the mansion was even dedicated to a 2,400 square foot ballroom.
Yes.
So she made the third floor. We're just gonna make some party room.
Yeah, well, just make it a party room. Why? I mean, honestly, we all could use a party room.
For real. And
like all the Downton Abbey, like really made people go, oh, I wish I had like a room that people could go sit and have tea, and a separate room where people can gossip, and a separate room where the ballroom is. Like, that would be so cool. Now it's like, oh yeah, no, I eat on the couch.
Right.
I entertain and eat on the same couch.
They were so classy back then. But she built this innovative skylight in the ballroom, which you saw.
Oh, it was so pretty.
It's gorgeous. So it allowed fresh air to circulate through the home on like hot summer nights, or in the winter. It kind of like helped with the heat. It's just kind of like a revolutionary way to keep your house
without air conditioning heaters, because that was a thing back then.
Mm-hmm. And so it like drew heat from the gas fireplaces onto the main floor. Like, it was just.
And they had like all the doors had these like windows on the top that people could like shut and open. So like a room was too cold, they would like open the window, and if it was too hot, they would close the window. So I thought that was really interesting.
It was really cool. Like, she definitely put a lot of thought into how she was building it.
Just to show how smart she was. Like, she wasn't just like, oh, I don't know, like do this.
You figure it out. Like, she really had.
She's like, no, do this.
And there was a lot of Italian craftsmanship used, like with the tiles and stuff.
Which, yes, I could definitely see that style.
Yeah, and you could see, so if you're looking down from like the skylight, you can see that the walls were covered in white marble, and they had like the pressed tin tiles, and the stone structure. There was a stone structure in the back parking lot, which we saw that was what used to be used as a well. And they actually had a large big barn there originally, which is no longer there.
It'd be hard to keep a barn. Like,
oh yeah, I don't know how.
Especially in Oklahoma.
For sure. It probably blew away. And
it just blew off. It was like, bye.
Bye.
Get.
Go on, get.
Oh, man.
So the tiled room at the rear entrance of the mansion was the carriage entrance, and there was a spacious dining room. There was like the ladies' parlor, which is now where the restaurant operates. So you sit through in there. And then there was now what the gift shop was like the men's parlor.
Which, from my understanding, the parlor is like they would separate and basically gossip. Like, that's from my understanding is like what they did. So they would basically entertain in those rooms, and they separated themselves, which was really weird. I guess this is what they used to do back in the day. say. Like, I'd be like, excuse me? No, I want to see what the guys are doing. Like, what are the bros doing? Right. But like, so you gotta imagine like what kind of secrets were going on, especially with him being a businessman. Like, what would have went on there? But he unfortunately wasn't there to witness it.
Yeah, it's sad. But I can't imagine.
I wonder if she still had things. I'm sure she did. I'm sure she still had like parties and stuff after he passed.
I mean, she had a giant ballroom on the top floor.
I know,
she
but
was
like,
hey.
you know what I mean? Like,
no, I
like
bet she still probably hosted a lot. She seemed like the type of person that really like, you know.
Oh, my house, like, come see how amazing I am.
Yeah, exactly.
Look what I finished.
And in the gift shop, which was the men's parlor, they still have an original Bayless desk and bookcase there with a lot of books from the family.
Which we couldn't, the person we were with couldn't find the lock to like open the cabinet, but all those books actually have the like stamp from, you know, back in the day, like libraries used to stamp their books. They didn't have that back then. They had like a slip or something, like the person was explaining, or like it's like, or so, it was a pocket of something that had the name of these people. So that was really cool that the books were there. We unfortunately didn't get to actually see them, but
yeah, we saw one that was probably one of the originals, but we saw them from in the glass. It was cool.
And honestly, that's fine. Like, I honestly didn't expect to be able to touch them anyway, because like honestly, I probably wouldn't. I break things, so I have insurance on my phone because I break things. So I'm not gonna hold this historical book that was someone's just to be like, I broke the bind.
Yeah, but being in there was such a cool feeling. Yes. It's like what kind of stories were told as like the guys are sitting in here with their like whiskeys and cigars and like talking about businessy stuff, and this is probably cool, but that was really neat. And there's also a stone at the front curb of the mansion that was a carriage step, so they used to, you know, get on it to step up onto carriages or onto horses. And it actually came from the Bayless home in Cassville, Missouri, and it's inscribed with the year of John and Mary's wedding, which was 1879,
which is really hard to see. Like, it's because you can see the steps still now, and so like we'll show that, but you can still see the steps. And I tried to like look to see where it was engraved, and it's like so hard to see now, which is, I mean, it's old, so like that makes sense.
Right. It was.
And now I think it's like a tea room.
Yeah, I think they kind of use it as their tea room.
It's really pretty. It's like a sunroom almost. Yeah. Like, it's like full of windows, and it's like little seating area. It's really pretty.
It is. It's gorgeous. And so after John passed, and then she moved in with probably all the dependent children still came with her, and they moved into the home. And in 1910, which was 3 years after it was completed.
Yeah, it takes a second to like get comfortable in a place, especially that big.
So a few years after it was completed, she actually Mary had her mother, Eliza Stubblefield, and a servant named Mary Wagner. They moved in to kind of help her maintain the home.
It's funny that her mom's servant's name is the same name as her daughter.
Oh my god, I didn't even put that together until now. Yes.
That actually, you know what though? I say that, but that probably actually helped her mother too at the same time.
That's true.
Because like, you know, being like, oh, Mary, like it kind of reminds her of her daughter. Yeah.
Kind of like,
but yeah, they have the same name.
That's so weird. I didn't even think about that. So Guy, which is one of their sons, and his wife Maud actually lived there until they built their own home.
God, I love that name. Maud.
I know, Maud. It's a cute name. But they actually gave birth to their second son, Guy Jr. He was born in the Belvidere.
Aww.
So the Belvidere has seen life being born and brought into it, and there was a wedding that takes place that we'll talk about, and there was eventually a death.
It was a happening building.
There was so much.
It was hopping.
Life, death, parties, weddings. Just, it's insane. In 1900 is when Frances actually had married this guy named G.D. Davis, who actually became president of the Bank of Claremore in 1902. Okay. John had like put him in charge of the bank. And Frances also worked at the bank. Then Guy joined in on the family's bank. They all went into banking, like half of them did. So
I mean, it's their father's business.
Yeah,
so like,
it was kind of the family business. So Guy joined the family bank, and he continued banking for like 50 years or something. Earl, I feel really bad for Earl. So Earl became president of the Bank of Claremore after his father died and everything. But unfortunately, he never married, and he actually died at a really young age. He died at 35 of appendicitis, just like his father, which is just absolutely tragic.
Earl, don't be in your father's footsteps that literally.
Oh, I know. I felt so bad. Can you imagine?
No, I can't. Imagine being alone and like you're just working, and then it's like, oh, I'm dead. Like that was your life. Your life was dedicated to work.
I know. It just hurts my heart. But then Ross became involved in banking, surprise, and Burke was also like a financier, and he managed the Sequoia Hotel, and he was actually the Claremore's postmaster. And
Aww.
we saw his cute little spectacles.
It was really cute.
They had a big case with all of the kind of stuff from the Bayless family and anyone kind of related to the mansion. We'll talk about that later when we go.
It was like a little just a case of like all of the artifacts.
And stuff,
I don't know, artifacts. It seems like a little bit of
artifacts.
The artifacts of the
that
family
they dug up from
from curtains. I don't know. No, but it's like a case of all their stuff, which was really cool.
It was really cool. So we saw Burke's cute little spectacles, and he did well for himself. The youngest son, Wayne, was an attorney and actually served on the Supreme Court of Oklahoma.
Oh, wow.
Which was a big deal.
It's a very solid family.
Yeah, it's crazy. And Bland actually got married at the mansion to a man.
Is Bland the youngest daughter? I couldn't... Or she just
I think she is
the youngest daughter? Okay.
I'm pretty sure she is, because I know Frances was already married. And
so yeah, Bland's the youngest daughter then.
I would think Bland is the youngest. And she married this guy named William Martin, who was a special agent of the London Insurance Co. He was actually a guest of her father's, and like he had been hosted over there, and
so he like knew the father.
Yeah, so they actually met through the father. So through John, they met and they fell in love, and they actually got married within a year.
That's quick.
Of meeting each other. So, and then they decided to move to Kansas City after the wedding. Bland was an exceptional artist. As we saw, there's actually several pieces at the Belvidere. There's a landscape painting and a vase that she did that was on display.
Was I want the vase here. Like, I just want to put some flowers in it and call it mine.
It's gorgeous. She was so talented. And I mean, being a female artist in the early 1900s, like... she's got to have been kind of making waves and not being just the typical housewife.
Yeah, exactly.
So she was an artist, and she was very talented. So she got married. It was October 15th at 9 p.m. at night. They decorated in green and white and lavender.
Oh, beautiful.
It sounded like a gorgeous wedding. And the altar was arranged in the east tower of the building, which we saw when we were up in the ballroom. And her bouquet had lilies of the valleys and bride's roses. It sounded beautiful. They did a bunch of like house parties and large events to celebrate after the wedding.
That makes the party house. Why not?
Party, yeah.
What else can you do with all that square footage?
Exactly. So she got married, and they moved to Missouri. And this one is when things take a turn.
Okay.
So on September 11th, 1913, Bland actually died by supposedly suicide, in her home at the age of 27, which is a year younger than I am now, and I can't even imagine. So she was found dead in her home on a Thursday evening by her husband, William Martin, when he returned home from work. It's just tragic. It really hurts me to even think about, but we have a lot of details about what supposedly happened. So Kansas City Journal released more details, quite a bit, more than I would have liked to release to the press. That's insane.
Nosy much.
So she was suspended from a curtain rod in a doorway by a piece of clothesline on the second floor of their apartment house.
Okay.
And that's how she was found. So William stated it was customary to call his wife before heading home. He says he did this around 5 p.m., but the call went unanswered. Thinking his wife had left the flat for a few moments, he went directly home. He entered the apartment and was going into the dining room when he was, quote unquote, startled to find his wife's body. He stated he immediately called for help, released her from the cord, which I'm like, I hope you released her first and then called for help, but okay.
Weird order.
And then he tried to revive her. And then he would supposedly not leave the body until the coroner arrived. And when he was told that she was dead and there was no way that she could be brought back.
Well, yeah, you called, then got her down. Like,
I know. I'm like, is that just like a mess up? Because I hope so. But he was told that there was nothing that they could do. And he supposedly collapsed and was taken by friends to the home of his mother. His mother. The mother-in-law. The mother-in-law. Mrs. Charles C. Martin said she released a statement about Bland's death, which is
weird. Like, normally the husband or like her family would release a statement. Why the in-law?
So it seems odd. Like, she was one of those kind of controlling mothers that really had their hand in everything.
Oh, I wouldn't know. My mother-in-law is amazing.
Yeah, I don't know, but so this is her statement, all right? So she said, a sudden fit of insanity must have led the young woman to kill herself. Quote, she was at my home yesterday and several times complained of a pain in the back of her head. I thought nothing of it at the time, but now I believe she may have suffered a temporary mental derangement.
What?
Yep. She and my son were happily married and were building a new home in Morningside Park. I know of no cause for her to take her own life.
That seems very descriptive and...
It seems like over-explaining to me.
Yeah, well,
like,
do you want to just jump into our theory?
Yeah, let's just jump into it. So, for one, I think that's too much, like, covering her ass and her like, son's ass.
In the words of Bailey Sarian, kind of suspicious.
Suspicious. So, I think it's odd that she's just like, oh, no, they were so happy.
Yeah, like, we didn't ask what their marriage was like. We asked why...
Do you have any idea why she may have killed herself? No.
They were happily married. It's like,
they were
okay.
happily married. They were building a new home.
So clearly they weren't.
Yeah, like, I just feel like that's just so
also,
much
like, wait, okay, sorry. I'm not familiar with, like, you said it was, like, an apartment house?
Yeah, so it's an apartment house, and I don't know how that's laid out, but to me... No apartment house I've ever heard of has a dining room on the upper floor, which is where Bland was.
Yeah, because he said he walked into the dining room and saw her hung, but she was on the second floor.
Yeah, he said, I was going to the dining room, and then I saw her hung. To me, I would not picture any place that has a dining room on the upper floor, so... That doesn't make sense.
Like, I wish we had, like, a layout of the house, because that's really weird.
I honestly looked, and I couldn't find anything.
Like, she was suspended... I don't like wording it this way, but she was suspended in the closet?
In a doorway. So it didn't say what, but it didn't say, like, you know, right above the stairs or something, where he would have obviously seen her. Yeah. It said it was in a doorway upstairs by a clothesline. And he said, I was going to the dining room, and then I was startled to find her body.
And then I was scared, and so I called someone and then got her down.
And then
William, I think you got something else going on.
Exactly. I don't know. It just seems very odd to me. And then the mother-in-law being like, no, they were so happy. They're so happy. And then, you know what? Her head hurt the other day. Her head hurt.
So she must be insane.
So she must have had just a sudden fit of insanity, and she just lost it because her head hurt.
I don't think... a headache, bitch. Like, it's common. People get those. I get them all the time. Like, oh man, I'm deranged. I'm gonna go, like, kill myself. No, I have a headache. Like,
exactly.
That's just, I don't know. I feel like, to me, it sounds like the mother-in-law is a very controlling of her son, because the fact that he was just in disarray and his friends took him to his mother, he's obviously a mama's boy.
Yeah.
So I guess it's his family, so, like, yes, that makes sense. Like, go to your family, that makes sense. But he went to his mom, and his mom all of a sudden now has an opinion. And it's like, you weren't there. You're not in their house. Unless you were so involved in their relationship, you shouldn't have a say in that, which tells me she definitely is very controlling.
I mean, that's what I automatically would think of. Even if, like, let's just say he had nothing to do with her death, the mother had nothing to do with her death, she honestly... just
killed herself,
yeah.
Like, we're not saying necessarily that they killed her, but I think personally that they had some form of involvement in, like, her being unhappy.
Yeah, it breaks my heart to even think of this, and I get so sad thinking about someone that is talented and wonderful. I mean, everyone was just like, she's so smart, she's bright, she's beautiful, she's this revolutionary woman, and for her life to be snuffed out so quickly, don't know the circumstance. I'm not going to say no, they murdered her, but
I mean, we don't know.
I don't know. It just seemed kind of overly.
It was too detailed. Yeah, like and like it makes sense that he didn't really say anything because he's probably still in shock. But at the same time, it's like I don't know. It just seems like, lack for a better word, it's just very suspicious to me, and that there was like no other information, because like when Amber first told me the story, I was like, well, what else happened? Like, there's gotta be more info. And she's like, nope, I did all my, of course, Amber doing her research, researching Amber here. She did her research and didn't find anything.
Yeah, I looked, I can't even tell you how many articles. I mean, I found the newspaper articles, I found her obituary and different, I found her.
We even asked the historian at the place, being like, hey, like, do you know anything about that? And they said, unfortunately, no. Like, she was like, I don't know anything about that. So it's like, no one knows. And like, they had like a room upstairs that had like as much info of the place they had, and it didn't even have anything about Bland's death. Just her obituary, I think, was there, maybe.
I don't even know. And maybe just, like, her getting married or whatever was there. But,
that's
like,
probably it, yeah.
I looked everywhere. I've tried everything I could to find more. And it seems that, she died and everyone just went, oh, yeah, she killed herself. That's what the husband said.
Which, I mean, back then, women, they were like, oh, hysteria, done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, she was in hysterics. Guess that's it.
That's it. Case closed.
So, yeah, case closed. So, it just seems odd to me. The mother-in-law seems like she was kind of, like, covering up something or, like, trying to keep the suspicion away from her son.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Why would you, if this is just a normal, like, she died by suicide, why are you, like...
No, we could, but, like, we are saying, like, we are reading this off an article where they may have asked, well, were they happy? And then she could have been like, oh, no, they were very happy. And so, like, they could have worded, like, you never know. Like, we weren't there for the interview, so it could have been...
Yeah, I mean,
less choppy. We don't know. It was so long ago. But the point is like, it was either way, it was suspicious, and, mental health, like, you never know what goes on in someone's head. So she clearly probably, unfortunately, did kill herself. Who knows why, though? I feel like there was definitely more to it, and I only say that because of the evidence we got that we'll talk about later.
Yeah, I definitely think there was more to it. Even if she did die by suicide, obviously... there was something else going on. I can't say, for sure she was unhappy in her marriage or whatever. She may have not been. I mean, a lot of artists seem to be kind of tortured and dealing with depression and stuff too. And to not be taken seriously as a woman at that time, as an artist at that time, there's lots of things that could have happened. And her father, from what I understand, she was kind of like a father's girl.
Daddy's girl, yeah.
So,
well, okay, and then, like, didn't you say you found something where it was, like, saying that friends told the authorities?
Yes. I found something, because after we went, I still continued to research to
You're like,
try
I don't believe
it. I'm like, I need to find out more about Bland. So I found something stating that people were saying that she was so stressed out by the fact that her husband was building a new home for them that she killed herself.
Okay.
She was so stressed out about the new home that she offed herself. What?
No. That doesn't make sense. Like, no. Not Bland. No. Mm-mm. And, like, we probably seem like we're, like, very much into Bland right now. Like, we're up Bland's ass. The thing is, like, Amber personally said that she, like, felt connected to, like, when she was reading the story, she goes, I just feel, like, drawn to Bland. I feel, like, drawn to her. And, like, yeah, she definitely, maybe it's because she was our age, like, she was in between our ages, so, like, maybe that has something to do with it, but, like, we definitely feel like more of a connection to Bland, and the fact that we feel like she didn't get to say her story, she didn't get to finish her story, kind of similar to,
Earl, yeah.
Yeah, like, Earl, he
died young, too.
He died young, so he didn't get...
Suddenly.
Yeah, suddenly, and he didn't get a chance to, say his story, and we kind of feel like the same with Bland. It's like, she got married, she was an artist, yes, but, like... What else?
It was like she got married and then she moved and then
it's like there's not even any documents of like where her stuff was like at art shows.
No, I've tried to find more about her art and if there's any surviving pieces anywhere besides the Belvidere, and I found nothing. And I just feel like she had so much more to say and so much more to give, and it's so tragic. Any way that things happened, it's absolutely tragic. Mm-hmm. And the minute I started reading her story, I just felt like there was something more there than what was being told in the press and the historians.
And again, we have like, we'll go into it later, but we do have some like possible evidence of, of something weird and suspicious happening around her death.
Yeah, and I think maybe it's possible that her spirit's still residing in the mansion, because that's where she lived. Her father was building
and married. She got married there.
Yeah, she lived there. She got married there.
Which, I mean, even, like, no matter how unhappy her marriage was, when you get married, that is the happiest moment of your life.
Right. It's
so,
still,
like that was probably one of her biggest memories, is like, oh, I was so happy then.
Exactly. And it's, I also found it interesting. I know it was a different time back then, so maybe this was the norm, but when she died, they transported her body back to Claremore, and she was buried at the Woodlawn Cemetery, where the rest of the Bayless family was buried and continued to be buried.
And we actually went and visited them.
But I thought it was kind of interesting because she was buried Bland Bayless Martin, which was her married name, and there's a Bayless like monument that says Bayless on it, and then near her grave was a Martin monument. Like they were going to continue on bury William there in the future.
But he wasn't there.
No, William went on and got remarried eventually and passed away at an older age and was buried in another cemetery with his family and his wife.
He got to finish his life, basically.
Yeah.
If you're not a Bland fan, don't watch or listen to this anymore because we are Bland stans.
We're Bland stans.
Like, we will keep talking about her because there's definitely something around her death.
I mean, she just has such, like, a palpable energy, too. Just, like...
I mean, look at her portrait.
Exactly.
Like, oh, my God. Like...
Just looking at the portraits of her, like,
she's so pretty.
She, like, commands the room. You can tell she has that energy of just, like, I'm smart, I'm beautiful, like, I'm interesting.
Yeah,
like,
I'm interesting. Like, talk to me, yeah.
Right. So, I'm really attached to Bland. Mm-hmm. But we'll get more into that with our investigation. So, I'll talk about a little bit what happened after the home was no longer a home.
Yep.
So Mary moved out actually shortly after Earl died, I believe. She moved out, I think it was 1919, somewhere around there. Once all of her dependent children were gone and Earl had passed away.
Like why would she be in the big house by herself? Like that doesn't make sense.
Exactly. So she moved out and she actually moved into a small house on what's now Patty Page Boulevard. So anyone from Claremore will know that's one of the big major areas there, Patty Page Boulevard. Yep. So she moved to a small home there. She actually donated the original iron fence that surrounded the property to the Woodlawn Cemetery Association.
Which we looked for and we didn't really see it there, so...
Well, I found out later, when I was researching more on Bland and stuff, that it was gone now. I don't know what they did with it.
I'm glad we went through the cold to look for it.
Right, I know. Mary also, I didn't say, that she actually became part of the Women's Temperance Union. After John died and she was still in the mansion and stuff, she was the president of the Charity Association. She was a homemaker, philanthropist, and volunteered at the Baptist Church across the street from the mansion.
Which is still there.
There?
It, like, you can see, like, it's, like, super old, but then they, like, updated it since then.
Oh, yeah.
And it's, like, it's really big.
They've, like, added on
but
so
also,
much to
like,
it.
Once again, go Mary. Like, she just kept going on.
Yeah, so she, like, finished the construction, and it was, like, insane the amount of time she did that in. And she took care of her kids, and she became part of the Women's Temperance Union, and she was, like, volunteering and giving her money away, and she was just an amazing woman. So she left in 1919, and she eventually passed in 1928 from pneumonia. But she did live to be 71, which was good for that time period, I would think. So after she moved out in 1919, it was used as a hospital and a boarding house, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, it became Cinnabar Hospital, which was a Tulsa corporation. So it was like a private, high-class institution that was housed in the mansion.
So it was like a bougie hospital.
Yeah, like if you were rich, you'd come here to get taken care of, from what I understand.
What was the practice?
Well, they specialized in the treatment of skin and diseases of the blood.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's kind of freaky, right?
Ew. If I would have known that, I wouldn't have went. That's gross.
I know, it's freaky. So it became a skin and blood, like, treatment center. It was weird. So records state that...
You know what I just thought of?
What?
Remind me when we get to the evidence, because I have a theory about that.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, so continue with what you're saying. But
Okay. Exciting. Connecting the dots, guys. So records state that Louis Fields of Collinsville actually died at the Cinnabar Hospital during that time frame. So Louis Fields passed away in the mansion. I looked up a lot. I tried everything I could.
Which you know would be as much as anyone could. Like, don't be like, oh, well, I bet I could find it, because Amber, if she didn't find it, it's not there.
No, I did every possible thing to find it, but I couldn't find out exactly how he died, so I don't know if it was, like, obviously it's probably to do with a skin or blood disease.
I mean, yeah.
But I don't know, but he did pass away in the mansion. So it was...
What a bummer.
Yeah, I know.
Although, you know what? I mean, if that's where I passed, I'd be like, actually, not a bummer. This is fine.
Like, that'd be an okay place to die. Like, it is pretty
Well, okay,
nice.
we say that now looking at it, but, like, maybe it, like, didn't look as cool as a hospital. Like, I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know how it was all
It's still
laid
really
out,
pretty.
but it was still pretty. So... I think it was about, like, 6 or 7 years it was this hospital and boarding home. And then in
That's not very long for a hospital.
I know, it was kind of weird. So
I mean, it's okay, so for a hospital, it is kind of small.
It would be small. It would definitely be, maybe that's why it's so high class. Yeah. You have to have money to get a room
Yeah, because it's, like, it's a big place, but not for a hospital. Like, it's not a building. It's a mansion. Like, it's a house, not a building.
It's not divided out to be the multiple room hospital, but... In 1926, the mansion was purchased by John and Annabelle, and divided into 12 individual apartments, 4 on each floor. And at the time, housing was like really scarce in Claremore, I guess.
Okay.
So it was hard to find a good place to stay. And these were like tiny efficiency apartments.
It's like now.
Yeah, I know, right? So it's like, they were little efficiency apartments. They were rented for $30 a month, including the utilities.
What? I know that's a lot back then, but damn, I wish that was us now.
Can you imagine?
Oh, I'd be so rich.
Oh, that would be amazing. So each of the rooms had like a bathroom, a little living room, and it actually had little kitchens in all the little areas divided out. So they were nice. Many young couples lived there, and they eventually would move out. Like, a lot of the couples moved to the Bell Apartments. They built another nice apartment complex, like, next door. The family did. So a lot of people were kind of like, okay, this is getting kind of less nice. I'm going to move to these nicer, bigger apartments, right?
Newer. They're basically just newer, yeah.
Newer apartments owned by the same people. So Mary Belmore and her husband Joe purchased the mansion from Mary's mother in 1965. So it was a long while that it was these Bell Apartments. As I said, another Mary became the mistress of the mansion. Because it was like Mary and then...
Servant Mary and now this Mary. There's a lot of Marys.
But another Mary became the mistress of the mansion.
Mistress of the mansion.
Mistress of the mansion. So in 1965, she took over. So for 30 years, it slowly was deteriorating and continued to function as an apartment house. But the property needed, like, extreme repairs.
Well, yeah, it's, like, super old.
Yeah, it didn't look like this Mary was taking care of it. She kind of let it fall into disarray. It was pretty rough.
That's sad.
And in 1984, the property was actually sold to a limited partnership group who had plans to, like, build a business there. But during that time, Mary's brother, Mr. Ferris Bell, continued to live there as a caretaker and the sole inhabitant of the mansion. And there was a bunch of pigeons that I guess, like, took residence upstairs. I'm guessing, like, the ballroom through the skylight or something, but there was like pigeons living in. Imagine, so pigeons are living in the home, and then this guy, one lone guy, is like living in that whole house.
It's like a chapter in Detroit Become Human when you walk through all those pigeons.
Oh my gosh, that's like the best game. I freaking loved it.
Oh yeah, like, that game is good, but like that point where like Connor walks through and it's like all the pigeons. That's what it probably was like. God, and that room is so echoey. Like, you talk and it's like you hear yourself 5 times. So if you hate your voice, sorry, don't go there. But like, can you imagine like 50 billion pigeons in there? It'd be so loud.
I mean, I couldn't even imagine living in that huge house by myself. Like, that would be
lonely.
I feel like kind of scary.
Honestly, I feel like you would like really be bad for your mental health. Like, I feel like that wouldn't be enough to make you go crazy of being in that big house.
I would think so.
And I mean, if it was already haunted by then, which I'm sure it was.
Oh yeah.
That person probably. I'd have pigeons too, honestly.
Yeah, I was like,
or it'd be like, oh, that sound is probably a pigeon. Like that. At least,
yeah,
like,
it's like the Home Alone 2 lady with her pigeons.
Yes, that was the other reference I was like thinking of.
Yeah. But, like, for some reason, the partnership group didn't end up doing anything with it. Like, they just left it. And then it went into foreclosure in the early 90s. And they were actually planning to tear it down. The city wanted to tear it down. And it was then rescued by the Rogers County Historical Society, April 9th of 1991.
Thank you.
Wanda. She began taking steps to restore the mansion to its former glory. She led the Rogers County Historical Society at the time, and her mission was to save the Belvidere. Like, she really took interest, and she's like, this is it. This is what I want to do. So she had to raise $75,000 really quickly to keep it from being bulldozed initially, because they're like, ready. And she's like, no. So she raised the money real quick, and she was able to do it. Then she had to raise another $250,000 to restore the mansion.
Holy shit.
Yeah, but she frickin' did it.
She
frickin' did it. Put that on a t-shirt.
She frickin' did it.
It's not that funny.
No, it's very funny. It's like, just go with one of them. What are you doing?
I don't know. My brain is at 4 shots of coffee before
Oh, God, yeah. It was good coffee, though.
It was. Good coffee. T3 Roasters. Anyway.
Okay, continue.
Anyway.
So, a fracking amount of money.
Whatever I said. She did it. She raised that $250,000 to restore this mansion, okay?
That's great.
She also helped erect the totem pole in Foyle, Oklahoma, which a lot of the people around here would know. I visited it when I was like little. But it's the tallest concrete totem pole in the world. Fun fact. She erected that too. I think it was some Girl Scouts or some shit.
Oh, it wasn't a Girl Scout.
Yeah. You know, actually, I enjoy Girl Scouts. I won't
so
lie.
did my mom. She was a Girl Scout.
It was not bad. Except when I had to go to summer camp, I got like sick because, well, I didn't get sick. Basically, I just want to go home because I'm antisocial and I hate people and I'm terrified.
We talked about this where I'm like, hi, people. She's like, oh my God, don't look at me.
I know. I hate everyone. I'm scared. And freaking camps are like, kumbaya, let's all hold hands and go talk to your neighbor and tell them something about, and I'm like,
let's actually get along. Amber's like, ew.
It was awful. And so that's the only part I did like, is going to the camps, because it was like, I didn't really know anybody because they all separate you up from your people, and I'm like in this cabin by myself, and I basically like, I was little, but I remember going to like the people and being like, I want to go home, like,
I want to go home, please.
Why do you want to go home, Jane?
Are you on drugs? Are you fucking on drugs? Why do I want to go home?
Why do you want to go home?
Let me go home. And they're like,
are you on drugs?
No, they put me on drugs. I'm not even kidding. I don't know what they gave me. I was like, I want to go home. Let me go home. And they're like, oh, you're just homesick. Take these homesick pills.
What the
I'm not even gonna lie. They gave me quote unquote homesick pills.
You were drugged?
What the frack? What the frackin' heck was that? I don't know.
I didn't know that.
Well, it's coming back to me all of a sudden. Yeah. I was like, this is hell. There's too many people here. F that. I want to go home.
Frack that.
Frack that. I want to go home. And they're like, no. You just take this medicine. It's homesick pills. It'll make you better.
It's probably like a Xanax.
Dude, it probably freaking was.
And you're like, what, 4? Not 4, but like 8.
I went to camp and stayed in a cabin at 4 years old, all alone.
Listen, all kids are the same age to me.
I mean,
that's a blur in my life.
I get that.
God.
But yeah, I don't know how old I was, but I was not like a baby or anything. I'm like probably like 13. Right? No, that's probably too old. I was probably like 10. I don't know. That's besides the point. They drugged me, okay? I was drugged as a child.
Your parents are gonna listen to this and be like, excuse me?
Yeah, I'm like, do they even know? I don't know.
Well, hey, just so you know, they know now.
I know. I was gone for a while. I remember, I wasn't even far. It was like, I don't know where it was.
Do you remember what happened after you took the pill?
No, but I didn't go. I didn't get to go home, so God knows.
That's like really sketchy. I don't like that.
Freaky.
Let's okay. Anyway, back to the.
I'm not gonna at the camp, but I might at the camp if I can remember the name later. Wait, no, I just remembered it. I can't tell you guys. I'm gonna get sued for slander.
Okay.
But I'll tell you later.
Yeah, tell me. I won't sue them.
Yeah, you can sue them. So it was weird. Anyway, they used to send me, and my family used to make care packages for being gone a week, and I would get like a care package of like, I would get like I was gone a week.
It's like that Paris Hilton like documentary that came out. Like, did you watch that?
I haven't watched that yet.
Okay,
but
yeah,
I actually
like,
kind of want to.
Oh, dude, I did. I watched it. It was really interesting.
I'm really
like,
interested.
She like went to like a camp and everything, and it was very like.
I think I heard something about that. I'm gonna watch it.
See, I was never in anything like that, and so that like, I mean, I did go to like a church camp, and like it was not like culty at all though, but it was like the pastor was like very strange and said some things like he like openly told all of the kids that he had a porn addiction, and we were all like, we're all like,
why would you tell children that?
I don't know, but we were like, okay, let me think how old I was. I was older though, but like there were some young kids there too. Like it was all age kids, so I think I was like 13 maybe, and maybe younger than that, and then there was like had to be like 10-year-olds there, and it's like, you don't tell kids that. But anyway, that's all I had. But that's beside the point. We can go down that road.
Yeah, I could keep talking about the weird.
But anyway, so like, okay, so Wanda.
Camps. Oh yeah, sorry. Back on track. So Wanda, she was badass. She like raised all this money. She really like focused her efforts on it. She's like, I'm gonna frickin' save this mansion. So she did. So they restored like the little like carriage entrance area was actually restored by local prison inmates.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. The local judge sentenced offenders to community service at the mansion.
We like that.
So
I like that.
they went and worked on the mansion, and it looks beautiful.
Well, yeah, no, like inmates are like one of the best like workers. I used to volunteer at a place. I won't say where. I used to volunteer at a place, and they had inmates that would like also volunteer there, and I wasn't allowed, like legally I wasn't allowed to like talk to them.
Oh yeah.
But they were really nice and got the job done. So
yeah, I mean that area in the mansion looks flawless. It looks so good. That's where the like tea area is now.
It looks
really nice.
Really nice. Like it looks like a modern home now. Like but like obviously, oh yeah, no, this is the original, blah blah blah. And it's like wow.
Yeah, so I just found that fact really interesting. I thought it was kind of cool. So they've been working towards restoring it. And the way they raise their money currently to keep it maintained, so the gift shop proceeds go directly towards the like restoration efforts. And then the rental opportunities they do there, because they actually host a lot of weddings there still.
Yep, it is a wedding venue.
It's technically a wedding venue.
You probably won't want to get married after that, or maybe you will, but after we talk about, you would, 100%. You'd be like, ooh, hauntings, ooh, you heard this noise, ooh.
Yes, so weddings, they do like baby showers and stuff, like family reunions, business events, and banquets. They just host out for
there's a whole like ballroom upstairs.
Yeah.
That's like not being used. So of course, like, oh, might as well turn into an event center.
Exactly.
And it's really pretty because they like painted like
the upper skylight is like they made it look like a
mosaic
cloud
thing.
It's really pretty.
It's actually like that's not like we imagine it's like oh wow like it's like a nursery like
oh yeah
but like it's not like that. It's actually very pretty.
No,
like
it works really well with the room. Like I like it. So if you want to have an event there, please do. The proceeds go towards keeping it all nice and beautiful. And then they also do fundraising events like their fancy like high teas. They do actually mystery dinner theaters, which would be really fun.
I actually want to go to that. I think you and I should go there.
Oh my gosh, we should. Let's do it.
Yeah, we'll do it.
All right, we're gonna do it after COVID. And they do home tours, which you can like pay the Historical Society a little bit to give you a tour, or you can go take a tour yourself, and they have a little like donation area that you can drop some stuff in. And then the cafe, the Pink House Cafe, I'm not sure how much of the proceeds, if any, of their stuff goes towards it, but it's still a good way to support the mansion to go. So that's all that I have on the history, and then I have the haunted history and the claims that have occurred of what happened in the mansion.
The rumors and everything. And then we'll talk about our experience.
Yes. There are multiple items in the home that belong to the Bayless family, like we talked about. So there's a green chair in the master bedroom that belonged to Mary Bayless.
Which was gorgeous, and I would have it in my house.
It's stunning. The woodwork on it.
The woodwork, it has so... Like, okay, honestly, the woodwork in this entire house was just like, I want it. Yeah, it's like... I'm so angry, I want it. Like, because I have a ton... Amber knows, I have a ton of antiques in my house, like, right now.
And that's what I prefer, too.
Even
antiques.
before, I had, like, a lot of, like, antiques. I've always had antiques. Because I grew up, my mom had antiques and stuff. And then James's family grew up also having antiques. So I love things like that. So when I walked into this house, I was like, can I just live here?
I know.
Screw this new house. I want that house.
I mean, everything is so beautifully crafted. It's gorgeous.
So yeah, that chair had beautiful design on it. And it was like green
velvet.
Amber's velvet.
My velvet.
So I say I would have that now, but I wouldn't because my dog, white hair.
I'll take it.
Yeah, you can have it. They're handing it out. They're like, oh, free chair.
I'll
take
the
curb. So I don't want this haunted green.
Mary comes with it for free.
Mary comes with it. You'd be like, sign me up.
Exactly.
Oh my god. Okay, anyway.
Okay, so that gorgeous chair belonged to Mary. And there were some other like green Victorian chairs that also were Bayless family pieces.
Blah, blah, blah. Those weren't hers though. Like, I mean, they were hers.
They may have been, but they're not like her specific.
It's not
like,
her
this
chair.
Is my reading chair.
No. Everyone knows, like, in Oklahoma, everyone has, like, the parents, like, that's my chair.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know about you, but, like, my dad has his chair. Like, when we're watching TV or anything, that's his chair.
Yeah.
Like, if I sit on it and he walks in the room, I gotta get off.
Yeah. So, there's also a display case in the hallway that we talked about that had a few family pieces.
Yes.
So, there was the pair of spectacles.
Some of Bland's, like, her vase, right? Was
in
there.
Yeah, Bland's vase and a little landscape painting.
A ton of photos.
It had Maud Paul Bayless's family Bible.
Aww.
There was, like, a family photo album, a transcription of John's journal,
That'd be cool to have.
Oh my gosh, I want to read it. I just want to read it. And they had family portraits hanging all over the walls. There was a dress of Mary's that's in a glass case up there, which we took some like photos and videos of. So
as best as we could. It's in a glass case.
Yeah,
so.
It's like
honestly,
glare
it's
city.
Like it's like beautiful dress. Like I'd wear that now.
Oh my gosh, it's like gothic Victorian like dream dress.
Like I was like, Amber, you could wear this. I say Amber. I don't really wear dresses, so I'm like, I'd wear it, but I wouldn't. Amber would.
I would. Just like gothic heaven. So it's beautiful. It was said to be the dress she wore to the opening night of the Windsor Opera House that John built, which I can just picture. It's stunning.
Her walking.
Yes,
love it.
It's beautiful. So over the years, numerous people have reported that John and other members of the family continue to reside in the beautiful old home. So these allegations tell of unexplained noises, actual sightings of hazy figures, toilets that flush by themselves, hot and cold spots, and feelings of being touched by someone when no one is there. And
spooky.
Spooky. Paranormal groups have investigated the mansion on several occasions, and they've claimed that most of the paranormal activity seems to occur on the second floor, which I think we could verify.
Oh, 100%.
And psychics have
I mean, we didn't really have a choice, because when we got there, we knew it was supposed to be a private investigation when we got there. Like we had said, it's also a restaurant, so the employees were still there because they had, like, been late. I guess they, like, you know how Saturdays are, like, it gets later. Like, I don't know about you, like, when I worked at a coffee shop, Saturdays, but it's like, oh yeah, no, I gotta be off at this time. It's always an hour after, because you just never know. So they were, like, still there, and so a lot of our evidence got kind of, like, cut off.
Yeah.
In the beginning, because, like, just, like, the first, like, 30 minutes, like, I'd say, of us being there, and after the tour and everything, because, they just were, they're a bunch of kids. They were being loud.
Yeah, they were younger.
Like, I'm not gonna be mad at them, because they were just finishing their job, and once they left, it was super quiet, but, like, so we couldn't investigate, like, the first floor at all, but, which is fine, because we went to the second floor, and yes, it definitely is one of the more haunted ones.
For sure. So, it was a bummer that we couldn't at first, and you could tell that they thought we were, like, hilarious, that we believed in ghosts and stuff. They're just like, we're like, thanks guys, but they're young, whatever. But it was
they're young, they don't have a mortgage. Talk to me when you have a mortgage.
Right. But we investigated the second and third floor, so it was good. But we can confirm the second floor definitely had the most activity. And then psychics have also claimed to see children playing with marbles, but they've said they believed it could just be an echo of the past, since that's the only time they've seen them. Like, they seem to be kind of trapped in a memory and not moving or anything.
Which I would say we didn't really pick up anything.
No, I didn't see anything.
Like, we had one possible EVP on our microphone, that we'll go into detail later, but we had a slight one that kind of sounded like a kid, but like, yeah, it wasn't solid enough for me to like say, yeah, that's just children, so I don't know about that.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. The people have also claimed to meet a distressed John Bayless.
I believe that.
As well as a distraught young woman who allegedly committed suicide when she lived in the building as a tenant in the 1940s. But I will tell you, I did my research, and I found no record of any deaths at all that occurred when it was a apartment complex.
Well, I mean, that makes sense though, because it's a business. So like, if it were just the Belvidere, like as a mansion of a home, I feel like, word would get out. Oh yeah, someone in the family. I mean, obviously Bland got like all of her info out, and like, I mean, not whole as much as you and I would want, but like her info was out there already. But with it being an apartment complex, it's a business, so I could see some people being like, here's a 20, don't say anything.
Right. I mean, it's definitely possible that someone did die, but my theory more on that, because people had said that they claim to see this woman who has marks on her neck and think it was like from hanging, and that she had died by suicide. But honestly, I think that they're timing it, because I think it could be Bland.
Like, you think they've got like some mixed like...
Yeah, I think they maybe think, well, this is someone who died in the apartment, because it makes like a little legend, because Bland didn't technically die there, but she lived so much of her life there. And
yeah, like there's some residual memories there.
Yeah, so I would think maybe they're seeing Bland with the marks on her neck.
For being choked,
Well, she had the
clothesline.
Yeah, so it was like, I think they could be seeing Bland. And I mean, she dressed like beautifully. Like they may have thought
I'd wear her dress. That was her portrait picture with like that. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So cute.
So I don't know. That's my theory on that. But one of the employees, named Ruth, she's like the kind of like ghost expert of the employees in the Belvedere.
Yeah, we like Ruth.
Yeah. So she stated that her grandson was upstairs one day and was talking with a woman that fit Bland's description.
Oh.
And then a visitor taking a self-guided tour of the mansion was talking to Ruth after her tour, and she was like, "Who's the gentleman outside on the porch?" And they're like, "There's nobody else here. What are you talking about?"
Well, and it wasn't like the second story porch too, or is it like the first?
I don't know. It didn't specify.
Because they do have like a little balcony on the second floor that you can't get to anymore. Like they said it's not safe, and so they blocked it off. And I think, from my understanding, that's where you said it possibly was.
Maybe. I don't think it's specified, but there are multiple porches, so it definitely could be. So she just says she saw a man sitting outside on the porch as she was like approaching, and he said that he was happy with the way the house was being looked after and cared for. And then she was shown, like, Ruth was like, "Okay, is it this guy you saw?" And she's like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, it was."
Who was it?
John. So, I don't know.
I don't believe that. I think that's like, oh my god.
That sounds like a tale.
I saw it. Someone
yeah,
like,
exactly.
Like,
oh, I saw a man on the porch. Who was that man? And then, is it this guy? Oh my gosh, it was. You know, like, I'm like, I don't know. That sounds a little far-fetched. But Ruth claims that guests have also heard the voice of a woman talking to them as well. And when a male guest was actually up in Bland's old room, he audibly heard, "Who are you?" and refused to go back into that
I
room.
believe that one. Because, like, we heard some pretty crazy voices and stuff in our evidence. So I feel like that one definitely would be true. I don't know about the other one. I feel like that was pretty far-fetched. But, I mean, I say that, but at the same time, people would think that our previous investigation at Ray Harrell was also pretty far-fetched with some of the evidence we got.
Right, yeah.
Because, like, some of the footage we got then was pretty remarkable in my sense that it's like, you know, it looked like we faked it, most of it, but we didn't. Because that's the whole reason we did this, because we don't want fake.
Exactly. We actually debunked several things in our investigation.
There's so many, like, even in this investigation, previous investigations, we debunk a lot of stuff that we're like, that's actually really cool sounding, but we don't know what it said, or, like, we don't know if it's true, so we actually, like, don't share it.
When we left, like, Bland's room after doing an investigation upstairs, the door, like, slammed behind us, and we were like, holy crap, what? So we went back into the room, and I opened the door several times, and we realized that if you don't open it far enough, it'll just slowly go shut, and then slam shut.
Yeah, because, like, you know, it's an old house, yeah, it's a heavy door too. And it had a huge wreath on it, which I think had something to do with it.
Yeah, I think it was weighing it more towards the
So
closing.
when we, like, pushed it as far back as we could, it didn't move. So we're like, okay, debunked.
Okay, debunked.
So, but there was a lot of things we debunk. But, yeah, I guess this is a good segue. We can go ahead and talk about our investigation. So what was really cool was, like, when we got there, we ran into a woman named Susan, which, Susan, if you're listening to this, thank you again. Susan actually is part of the Rogers County
Historical Society. And she actually lives on a tiny house right next to the mansion. Like, literally walking.
We actually, like, walked by it, and I was like, oh, be careful, don't walk in this person's, like, yard, because it's, like, right there. And then she was like, all right, this is my stop. And, like, we were like, oh, it's her house.
It's so cool.
It was really cool. But she was, like, really nice, and she actually, like, walked us through and, like, explained, like, what was original about the house. And, like, what was, like, oh, yeah, this is the original piece. This what was original. It had to be redone, blah, blah, blah. And so that was really cool that she, like, walked us through and everything. And it was really nice because she walked us through while the kids were finishing up cleaning downstairs. Yeah. So we weren't, like, investigating or anything yet. We were just looking at the place.
It was really nice. And she was so patient because we were up there for, like, 2.5 hours
something like that, yeah.
And she just was chilling downstairs.
On her phone, just chilling downstairs, waiting
for us. So, and she was, when we got done, she was like, are you sure we can do more? I'm fine. And
she's like, I'm fine. Like, you can keep going. And then she even was like, did you find anything? Which was, like, you know, that makes Amber and I happy.
I know. So I'm excited to send her, like, our evidence video. So I'm super pumped about that. But, so we definitely caught some interesting things.
Very interesting. So one of the things, like, when Amber and I were planning to go to the Belvedere, we knew that this was going to be, you know, possibly once in a lifetime situation.
Yeah.
Because we don't know if, like, I mean, now we're like, we'll definitely come back, like, for sure. Like, we've already planned we're going to come back to this location.
Nighttime investigation.
If we can. So, but we had said, like, okay, let's plan this out. And so we both were actually going to, like, separate and, like, go to each room, because this is a multiple room mansion. So, like, and even though, like, we didn't really get to investigate the first floor, we investigated, like, this whole second and the ballroom. So we had, like, we did it differently this time, and we actually, like, would set up cameras in rooms and leave, which was like really beneficial for us, because we actually, I feel like we caught more in those than when it was just like when it was us. Like,
besides the
spirit box
EVPs, just straight up picking things up on the camera definitely was when no one was in the rooms. I felt like they're definitely curious. And
So, like, something that's different, like, if you haven't watched our Ray Harrell, or, like, listened to it, like,
go on,
get and listen to it. Like, what are you doing? But, like, so in that one, we talked about how we were pretty sure, like, for lack of a better, like observation or detail or whatever, that those were demons, 100%. Or like imp, demon, something, fae, whatever. It was something more sinister. These whatever we encountered, these spirits were more curious and more like, they were very chill. I can't think of a word.
That's exactly how I would describe it. Just like, they're chill. They're just casually like walking around looking at stuff and like living their life.
There was like moments living their quote unquote afterlife.
Living their afterlives.
But like, what was, because like we noticed that a lot of our equipment, when we like left cameras, like I had said, there was some evidence of people, like things being like moved around, and like you couldn't see it but you could hear it, and like even at one point something like clicked our camera's button.
Oh my god.
Like, not, it was like just enough to not turn it off, but enough to like make it basically go out of sleep mode. It like was my understanding.
Because I mean, you can hear in several of our videos if like, because we have it on a battery saving mode where it turns black but it's still recording, so in order for us to see, we have to click the button again, and you can hear the
click
this like click sound,
like a spring click thing,
and it's the exact same sound, and it takes some force to push down to make it to make that sound.
And so it was like in this video, like specifically, there was like almost a full minute of absolute nothing, just silence, and then all of a sudden you hear click click, and it actually scared Amber and I, because it was just like out of the blue there.
Yeah, because we're just like, we're reviewing evidence, we got our headphones in real loud, we're staring at the screen intently looking for any sort of abnormalities, and then you just hear like
click click, and it's like, oh.
So like loud.
So that was really interesting. We'd never had anything do that to our cameras.
No.
So
and it was in Mary's room.
Yes, it was in Mary's room.
It was facing Mary's chair,
which it also picked up some like humming, some voices. One of the weirdest ones, and I'll go ahead and start with this, is like this weird like I can't even like describe it except that an apple biting sound. So you're like the like eating an apple. It was like that, as clear as day, and then like a couple of seconds later you hear
yeah, it was so weird, because Emmy tells me about this because she's reviewing the evidence, and I'm like, oh, okay, like I figured it was some faint noise kind of similar to an apple sound. I'm like, all right. And she's showing me, and I've got the headphones in, and it's just like, and then you just wait, and then you hear
like you're just like, really enjoying that apple.
What a good apple.
What a good damn, it's good to be dead and eat an apple.
That's a juicy apple.
That's a juicy ghosty apple.
That's a juicy ghost apple.
But like, that was like really strange. And then what was even stranger is that so we put one of our cameras, the GoPro, in that room, in Mary's room, and then we went all the way up to the ballroom, and then I was like, oh shit, like I actually wanted to put the ghost cam there, and then take the GoPro with us, because it was more well lit in the ballroom. So I went back downstairs and switched the cameras out. So the GoPro is the one that caught the apple eating sound, but then when we went back up to the ballroom and set it up, it did it there again. And like, oh, you're probably thinking, oh, it's probably the case around it. It doesn't have a case around it. It's just the GoPro.
There's nothing that could have made that noise. And wasn't that when it was alone again too?
No. We were talking, and we were like, asking if anything was there, and we were just talking casually, and it was just like, this guy's just sitting,
just following the camera, like, oh hey,
what's up? It's like his TV, his personal little TV. He's just eating his apple. Yeah, it was super weird.
It was really weird. It was some interesting stuff, like the humming.
Yeah, but like back to before we go into that, like the apple bite thing I said earlier, like I wanted you to remind me about that because my theory.
Oh yeah.
So I realized like after we were talking about the hospital, maybe it wasn't an apple bite sound. Maybe it was like bandage, like whoosh, like Ooh. You know the bandage rolls when you pull like.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about, like the bandaging tape. Mm-hmm. It could have been that. And then, like, instead of, like, it's like, yeah.
Like, like it hurts.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, it could be, like, but I like the idea of it being an apple.
I know. Like, that was just, like, more fun, but, yeah, I definitely.
It could be a Band-Aid. Like, well, what do you guys think? Do you think it's a Band-Aid or think it's an apple? Or do you think it's
comment
just...
on our evidence video.
If you say it's the camera, we're going to delete the comment. It's not the camera.
Yeah, so check out our evidence video and leave us a comment. Apple or bandage?
Apple or bandage.
Like an or a...
But anyway, so that was like one of the weirder evidence we caught. But I wouldn't say that was like solid. Like it was like, that's weird. But I wouldn't call it
weird and loud.
Loud, but like not solid. Like we don't know who it was. We don't know if it was a man. We don't know if it was like, we don't know the gender. We don't know anything. Sure. We don't even know if it was a ghost. Like it could have been a mouse. I don't know. But like point is like there was also like a lot of evidence of like humming, like you had said.
Oh my gosh, the humming.
There was a lot of humming going around of like when we left the GoPro alone up in the ballroom this time, and we went downstairs to go get the ghost cam. The ballroom, like you could hear lots of footsteps and a lot of humming and chairs scooting. It's very strange, like really strange behaviors. And like I was meaning is like earlier I was saying like very curious ghosts, like, and that's what like, you know, the camera kept getting tapped. It was like we were like make a sound, and like at one point you heard like a snap.
Yeah.
So like it's just weird, like, and things like that, and like you're just gonna have to like look over our evidence video to like
we got a lot of audible evidence, like a lot of it was audio, and then
a lot of it was our spirit box too.
Yeah, we got some of the most clear like we've
like,
ever gotten.
So like, you know, we talk about, I think we've mentioned this before, but spirit box is like and it's like, oh, we think it said this, like, and it's like, even though like we can like, you know, really like amplify it and like clean it up and make it to where we can hear what it says, it's still very distorted because of the frequency waves. Yeah. But these ones were so clear. It was like it would go check on them, and like it was like so clear and like cut between the actual white noise, which has never happened before.
What I found really interesting too is that we got multiple different voices coming through, but we had consistency. So there was like for sure a male spirit coming through, and it had the same voice, the same tone. And then we got another male spirit that had a different tone, and then we had a female spirit that we got a lot that had the same tone. Yeah. And then a couple random. But what are the odds that you're gonna get one consistent tone from a voice in multiple areas?
Yeah, of the home? Like when we did the Hex House, the one that we had, like when we were doing like the spirit box, I don't think we had maybe one consistent voice, there was sort of, I think. But all the rest were like different and like not making sense, which I mean, we were outside in like a busy street, so like there could have been so many ghosts around there, like not had anything to do with the Hex House, but point is like there were clearly actual beings who have history with the Belvidere.
Yeah. So like definitely something that was,
and like we unfortunately like when we asked like who is this, we didn't get super clear. We had a few, and we'll show. We had a few names and stuff. They weren't main names, but we are I would say we're about 90% sure we were talking to Bland.
Yeah, at one point in Bland's old room, that was our most active session of all of the areas of the home, was Bland's room, and there was one consistent female voice and one consistent male voice coming through in that room.
Yeah, and like we'll post the video and the evidence video, you can like look for yourself, but you can clearly hear that the male voice was not letting the female voice like actually talk to us.
Yes.
And that was really annoying.
Yeah,
you can see my angry face.
You'll see me get livid.
Will you please let us talk to Bland? Well, it's because it was like, I was like, please let us talk to Bland, and it literally like cut between white noise and said no. And I was like, you
And it kept, I won't spoil everything, but it was definitely telling her not to listen to us, and it was every time
you have to go check that video out. It
was answering for her in a lot of places, and it was
but a lot of, like Amber was saying, most of the evidence we caught today were audible, just all audio based. But what was very weird is that when we got back from the investigation, I was moving all of the footage stuff onto my laptop because I'm like, get this backed up now, and our voice recorder's broken, 100%. It will not. Something happened to the format.
The files got corrupted.
All files got corrupted completely. It says that one file was 9 minutes long, but it cut off at 3:54 or something like that. It would not continue, and it just skips. So we couldn't even look over that evidence because we can't listen to it. And then I was like, okay, well, I'll move it over to my laptop. And it wouldn't even, my computer was like, no, it's not readable.
Yeah, so
we've never had this issue before.
Yeah, we've never ever had it. So I don't know if it was a natural occurrence and just a glitch out on the system, or if it was something paranormal, but it definitely busted it.
And it was recording. We kept checking it and seeing it was blinking. We were like,
say how long the files were and stuff. Yeah. I was like, okay, we got, I would check every recording. Luckily, we had a lot of backup equipment. You know, we had multiple cameras. I had my phone camera going at one point.
So we still got enough evidence. We were really upset that this thing wasn't working.
Really upset because there was probably a lot on there that we could have captured. Yeah. But we did get a lot of EVPs. Luckily, I had my phone camera recording when we did our spirit box session in the ballroom,
which got so many.
Oh my gosh, you'll see there are so many EVPs through there. But when we were doing that, we had the recorder recording near our spirit box, and that was our main thing. And when that went out, we were so worried we lost that
because
session.
like I said earlier, that room was so echoey. So the GoPro that we had set up behind us wasn't capturing the sound at all because it was just capturing the white noise because it was so loud. Yeah. So you would hear it get interrupted, but you could not hear what it said. And so I was telling Amber oh no, I don't know what we're gonna do. We lost that whole session. And she was like, haha, we did not. I recorded with my phone, which applies to Amber for doing that because my word, we would have lost about 50% of our evidence without that.
Yeah, I don't know what it was because I haven't done that in an investigation before.
No, she hasn't.
But it's something in me in the ballroom. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna turn my phone on video on, and that's the only room that I did it for.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I did it.
Yeah, we did. Who cares? You did it, and we have the evidence.
It saved our evidence. So.
Saved our evidence. But
it was.
So, basically the spirit box was we always say we have a hot item for our investigations. There's always something. So, with the Ray Harrell, it was, our voice recorder actually caught a lot of stuff, which is kind of weird that it's broken now, I'm just saying. You know? So.
Is that an imp?
Oh, man, that imp. Anyway. Point is, it was a spirit box that was our hot item of finding evidence, because again we've never had this clear of voices go through before. It was insane. And then another great news, drum roll, we got our first spirit orb.
Yeah.
Which we've been waiting for. We've heard about spirit orbs. We've researched spirit orbs. We're like, when are we going to get an orb? And Amber found one when she was looking over evidence.
I did, and I was so excited. I was just staring at the screen through every video looking for anything.
And she found it, and I missed it completely. And so I'm so glad that there was a pair of eyes to look for it because I just completely missed it.
I'm shocked I found it, but I was so glad. It was in Mary's room, and it was right after I was talking to and about Bland. So who knows if that's.
But it was clearly not a dust particle because of the way the pattern was. It even showed my skeptical husband, and he was like, "Yeah, no, that's definitely weird." So I even showed, and my sister, who's also not skeptical, just doesn't want to deal with it. Yeah. So she was like, "Don't like that." And so, but we were so happy that we found a spirit orb, our very first spirit orb.
Yes, I'm so excited. I'm glad it was the Belvidere.
So definitely check out our video. We keep plugging it, but really seriously go check it out because this whole investigation was so cool. There was just so many cool scenarios and different things to look at and different evidence to show, and it's just gonna be a really cool video. So you definitely want to check it out.
Definitely, I'm super excited. It's one of my favorite evidence videos.
Yeah, and we had said, we were even though we hadn't looked at evidence, just what we caught on the spirit box, and actually physically heard.
Yeah,
we were we're gonna come back here. Like, we're gonna do this again because...
Well, we got lucky that we were able to have all of the evidence we did after the recorder went out.
Yeah.
We were so worried, but then looking through it, we're like, no, we caught most of everything.
But, like, if we had the recorder, I feel like we would catch so much more. So we'll definitely get a new recorder before our next investigation. But... we're gonna contact them and see if they'll be willing to let us do a nighttime investigation because I feel like that's gonna be the ticket.
Definitely, I'm hoping that we can, and I honestly think that is the way Susan was. She's so
wonderful. Oh yeah, I feel like
she would be like, hey, sure, Susan, I'll just come over for a couple hours and chill. So I'm hoping that we can do that, and we'll have our new recorder and see what we can pick up and just make a nighttime evidence video.
Yeah,
as opposed to
we're not gonna do a podcast because we already said the history. We already said our tea on that and everything, but our 2 cents and how William and his mom and anyway. But overall, really cool place to go to, and I'm just so glad we finally got to go after planning for so long. And then even though our equipment even died faster because of a situation, which you'll see in the evidence video, it's even though things didn't go according to plan, we still had fun and still enjoyed it, and we still got amazing evidence.
We did. I mean, it was just being there. I was in awe, and as I always say, I've researched these places. I look at them. I'm staring at article after article for months, and then I go and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm here.
Yeah.
So
seeing Bland's paintings and
surreal.
The dress and the chair.
Yeah, it was just surreal, and the amount of evidence we were able to get even with malfunctioning equipment.
And unfortunately, we really thought Boo Buddy would
I thought Boo Buddy was gonna get his moment. I thought he was
gonna be the star of the show, and
star.
He wasn't.
No,
not today, or not that day, but maybe the next investigation he will, but it was not his time to shine.
Yeah, we tried. And
we really did. He was there for a long time.
Oh,
we put him in a room and we recorded for 20 minutes.
20 some minutes while we were in the ballroom. He was downstairs in Mary's room, and we did pick up a lot of audio evidence during that time. But unfortunately, no Boo Buddy touches.
No Boo Buddy. They were like, I don't want to touch your bear. Weird.
They're like, I'm a grown up.
I'm a grown up. So just to clear that up, I don't think there's any children there because a child would be like, oh hell yeah, and touch that bear.
Right. So I agree with what the psychics probably have said. If they have seen that, it most likely was an echo of the past and not a straight up spirit. So that was definitely interesting. But thinking about Boo Buddy, it reminded me that we need to do a shout out to our
coffee supporters,
because I know that my great friend Damien's favorite unsung hero of the podcast is Boo Buddy.
Yes, it is, and we wanted to thank Damien and Unica for helping us out with giving us a donation. We put our coffee out there because we had a lot of people ask us how can we support you, and we were like, I mean, we're fine, this is just a hobby, we're not it's not our business, we didn't really care, but we were like, sure, but we'll make it a little tip account, that way you can support us that way, and you guys did, and we wanted to thank you for that because of that. I mean, like we said, our recorder broke, so now we can afford to go get a new recorder, and we're gonna get even a better one. Yeah,
we're getting a better one, and it's all thanks to you guys. Damien paid for our Belvidere investigation.
Yeah,
and then Unica is paying for our recorder, and maybe even something else equipment-wise or location-wise.
We just are so overwhelmed and thankful for you guys for doing that because, I mean, we just, again, we didn't expect anyone to hip or anything.
No. Here's $5 or something.
Thanks.
But
thanks for the coffee.
No, you guys are incredible, and I can't even begin to express how thankful I am for your friendships, and I just feel so lucky that we met you guys, and I love you guys, and I appreciate you guys.
Thank you for watching too and supporting us
because of your support. It's we're no one's gonna listen to this. It's
we're just us gonna be shits and giggles. We're just gonna have fun. Who cares? But people are actually enjoying this, and that makes us really happy that you guys are enjoying it.
Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You guys are the best. Yeah, that's it. So we, as always, comment and let us know if there's any places you want us to check out. And we're gonna
check out the evidence video and let us know what you heard, because there's gonna be a lot of inaudible stuff that we don't know what it said. So if you feel like you heard something, then go ahead and comment, because we love to read the comments.
Yes, please. We want to start a discussion. We're a community, and we're excited to take you to our next major place. And we'll have some more mini-sodes for you guys coming up too. And we're we're just so excited that we get to do this, and
it's so fun.
Much fun.
We're having so much fun. With that said,
I guess stay spooky, guys.
And caffeinated. Bye, guys.
Bye.